Hello and welcome to Dots, Lines, and Destinations, episode 95. It is Thursday, November 5th, 2015. I'm Stephen Seagraves, today joined by Foz Mahmood. Hey, Foz.
Hello there.
Rolando Veloso. Hey, Rolo.
Hey, what's up?
And Seth Miller. Hey, Seth.
How's it going, guys?
It's the usual suspects.
All of us are doing this. It's like two or three shows in a row, right?
Yeah, it is.
Great.
People might start getting used to this. We should be careful about setting expectations.
Lest they be met. Today we got some stories about, we're going to kind of keep with our format that we had last show and just want to talk kind of, I guess the dot this week is Frankfurt Airport and the expansion that is coming. So they're building a Terminal 3 at Frankfurt and it's going to be on the south side of the airport. There used to be an Air Force Base section there, and some cargo ramps, and that's all being turned into a new terminal. Did you guys read the story that I sent out? Maybe.
I didn't. I'm bad at geography, but with north and south and whatnot. But this is on the other side of the runways, right?
Yeah, the complete opposite.
By the A380 hangars.
Okay, so I was just saying, because I know there's a bunch of Lufthansa Technic stuff over there, so it's going to be way over there.
Yep. And from what I understand, it's going to be a tunnel underneath the airport for a kind of like tram connection between the two terminals, between the two big terminals. I think it's 1 and 3 will be connected, which is...
They're going with tunnel, not around on the surface?
Yeah, which is odd to me because if anything happens, I don't know what they're going to do. Because I don't think there's going to be there's check-in facilities and everything over in the other terminal, in the new one, but I'm not sure they're going to have like a train connection directly like they do from the other terminal.
No, I can't. You mean like a
like a Deutsche Bahn or S-Bahn stop?
No, I can't imagine there will be.
So if anything goes wrong, I'm guessing they're going to have buses or something.
Well, it's probably no different than Heathrow.
Yeah, lovely.
Damning with faint praise right there.
They're not that. The Heathrow buses aren't that bad though.
They've gotten better. I mean, the last time I was there, it was pretty quick connection.
The transfer buses, I mean, I've done a bus actually at Frankfurt over to the 380 terminal for a media event, so it wasn't that bad. It's sort of, there are, easy access roads that can get you over there if you had to. I find it interesting that it's going to be a underground, since they're calling it a skyline people mover in the press release.
They're going to paint clouds underneath.
But also, I feel like building a tunnel is way more expensive than building something on the surface.
Yeah. Well,
they're going to hire the people who painted the ceiling in the Venetian.
The thing I don't get is I don't know who's going to be there. Like they haven't really said who's going to be over in that terminal. So right. I don't know if it's like low cost carriers or if it's going to be, maybe they'll put all the Middle East carriers over there. I don't know. Like they're going to show
14 million passengers a year. That'd be a lot of LCCs.
Yeah, or unless it's going to be like a mix of LCCs and.
Well, maybe all the carriers that are in that one terminal that are not Star or Lufthansa, because Lufthansa has 3 that they fly out random flights or whatever it's called.
Yeah, where you have to be bussed over.
Wait, where? Where is this?
Well, 3 where the non-Star carriers fly out. United used to be over there with the Red Carpet Club.
Oh yeah.
Delta's there.
American's there.
American
US is there.
Etihad.
I think I just on a US flight out of there. That was a pretty miserable experience, just from a amenities perspective. But is that different than I guess the Seagates that Lufthansa uses?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to see. Hang on a second. I'm going to look it up. Our producer's falling behind here, clearly.
Wow.
Well, you have to remember he only goes in the FCT and the FCL.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about the airport
terminal. What terminal?
Someone picks him up in a limousine, a Porsche, it's all taken care of. I'm also impressed that it's going to take them 7 years to build this thing.
Hey, they're just looking at Berlin and going, you know what? Let's just get in the ballpark.
Let's try to actually have an airport when we're done.
I have to finish Berlin first.
Can we get an update? I thought we were going to have an update every episode about that.
It's not done yet.
This just in. The airport's still not open.
There's while Steven is looking this up, I'll stall. There's an entertaining Twitter account for Baltia Airlines, which is a group that's based in Michigan, I think, that wants to fly 747s all around the country. And the account is literally the daily update of, nope, still not flying. Nope, still not flying. Every now and then, a plane moves. They have the 747 that I don't think is certified.
Oh, really?
At this random airport, like a general aviation terminal somewhere kind of thing. And so every now and then it moves a little bit on the field, or someone takes it on a taxi test, or they have to spool up the engines to keep it functional. So they'll blog about that. They'll tweet about that also. But it's a completely ridiculous sort of nothing happening.
So they have a plane that they can't really use yet, but it's in Michigan, which last time I checked is not a good place to have parked planes, particularly in the winter.
Yeah, you salt the runway and just roll the thing out there. That's not corrosive at all.
Oh, no, not at all.
Okay, so I have an update now. So Terminal 1 which is Lufthansa's terminal and kind of like Star Alliance, where United flies now, is C, B, and the AZ concourses, which A and Z are the ones on top of each other.
The C gates that I'm thinking of are still considered Terminal 1.
Yep. And then Terminal 2 is E and D, and that's where Delta and where Continental used to be with Northwest and stuff on the other side. And that's the one you had to take a shuttle bus, or you could take the Skyline tram over there.
Got it.
So.
And so, Foz, you're saying Lufthansa occasionally does overflow over to there too?
I think occasionally I've seen something go over there.
Now they'll put their planes out there on the field out by that terminal. Like you'll sometimes get bussed out to your plane out there.
So the question that I have is, they just got done with the Z extension. They're going, or the AZ extension. They're now A prime. They're now going to build another terminal. Are we taking bets as to how many hard stands they will still need?
Well, so they're saying that it's like they're going to build something like 30 gates or something crazy. Like it's big. I mean, it's big. It's a 3-finger thing, just like A, B, and C.
Maybe it's regional flights.
Like at Munich, like what they're doing in Munich with the new concourse there. I don't know. I found the article to be vague enough to where I don't get it. Like, I don't
24 urgently needed aircraft docking positions, including 20 positions designed for wide-body jets like the Airbus A380 Super Jumbo and 747.
So I have a feeling this is going to be Lufthansa's baby. Like this will be where they park, because they have so much overflow over to those other remote stands.
But wide bodies? I mean, they have so much space for wide bodies in the main terminal. Would they move all of those? Especially if all their lounge facilities and check-in is at the main terminal? I don't think Lufty would move all
Not to mention, like, that would make, like, the whole prospect of Lufthansa at Frankfurt and Munich is connecting flow.
Or do you think they move all of the carriers that are in Terminal 2, like, KLM and everybody, over to the other side? Emirates over to the other side, and then they take that over?
That seems more likely to me.
My prediction is all the Gulf carriers. Yeah, my prediction is all the Gulf carriers will get moved over there with Delta right in the middle.
Yeah.
With Delta, I like that. Nice little big there. Nice. Appreciate that.
That was good.
Now, when are they saying this is going to be done by? 2022?
Yeah, 7 years.
Wow.
But yeah, they are being vague about the gate assignments. The other line I see in this press release is Fraport will ensure the best transfer options and optimal intermodal connections for all passengers and guests. In other words, we will do whatever the hell we damn well please.
Because Frankfurt is such a joy to connect in anyway.
I feel like your problems those last few times were always due to late arrivals that were weather-based, much more than specific Frankfurt issues.
That's true.
And I will say with the opening of A Prime, things have gotten better from a connecting standpoint.
They have. They are much better, because usually you'll come in on A and you can connect to Z pretty quick. It's a pretty quick transfer.
But the worst thing I hate about Frankfurt is you will get a gate, you get to the gate to find out you're actually being hard standed.
Yeah. Or you come in on the north runway and it takes you half an hour to taxi to wherever you're going.
But isn't that just like coming into France or something?
Pretty much.
Or the new remote runway at O'Hare. Or the Polbahn runway at Amsterdam.
Yeah, way out there on the other side of the freeway.
Like but no, the other thing about this that's interesting is, okay, a lot more capacity, a lot more wide-body gates and super wide-body gates, but Frankfurt is pretty much slot controlled and slot limited at this point, isn't it?
I thought so, yeah. So it's not like you can add new service, or a lot of new service.
Yeah, did they add any slots with that new runway?
I thought they opened up a couple maybe, but like very limited.
Because the new runway is landing only, I do know that.
Yeah.
So you can't do departures from there. But they do departures on the north-south runway.
Yep. Yeah, but they can't do so when they do departures on the north-south runway, there's certain restrictions that they have on the departures on the two runways, the two other main runways. Like you can land a certain direction, or you have to have a delay in the takeoffs. Like because they can't be rolling at the same time because the runways are so close together.
Right, but if you're doing landings on the north runway and the north-south runway is on the south side, you could probably use both of those at the same time.
Yep, exactly. So there's still some slot control. I think you're right, Seth. They did open some slots up when they opened the new runway, but I'm not sure it was that many. So.
Yeah, I don't see. I mean, I get that they need space because even immediately after opening the A Prime, it was hard stands. So like, I get that. It's an interesting move to open all these new gates up and not be also planning on growing space.
Yeah, and I mean that's
growing operations, I should say.
Well, that's a big question too. Is they've wanted to add another runway as well, and that's been shut down because of noise.
Right.
So there's a pretty staunch group of people that don't want Frankfurt to grow anymore. Just people who live nearby. So And they had to fight tooth and nail for that new runway on the north side, and there's a lot of noise restrictions and curfews and things. So I don't know. I don't know how they see the long term of the airport. I don't know what the long term plan is. I haven't seen any documentation for that, but it doesn't seem like it's something that's going to be easy to come by.
Yeah. Sure.
Speaking of other routes and new things, Air Canada is going to add service to Seoul from Toronto.
Yeah,
that's a new one.
787, I'm pretty sure.
So they're really like taking the 787 and kind of using it for new expansions on routes that they think would do okay. Because I think Toronto already has service from Korean. I'm not sure Asiana flies it, but I think Korean does. So that's a good new route for folks who fly Air Canada. And Atlanta Dubai is going away. Have you guys seen this?
Subsidies.
Evil.
It's all about the subsidies. So Delta has said we're not going to fly there because the Gulf carriers are so subsidized that it doesn't make sense, and we're losing money. And I saw Emirates reply, and I thought it was kind of hilarious, actually.
I haven't actually read it yet. What did they say?
Oh my god! They did the economics behind it, saying if Delta's not making money on this, they're doing something wrong.
Nice. I've been meaning to go back and read that. I got busy at the end of last week.
I mean, Emirates basically said if Delta doesn't want to do it, we'll fly it.
Yeah.
that was the summary of what they said. So I think Delta might be playing the political game there a little bit for them.
Well, it also wouldn't surprise me too much if Delta is now losing money and Emirates could make money on it, right? I mean, one of the things that all of this, any route standing alone could either be seen as profitable or money losing, depending on whatever math the airline wants to use to justify to the local chamber of commerce that we're leaving you, Cleveland. But sorry.
Slight dig there.
But no, I mean, right, like whenever that route launched many years ago, there was very few flights from the ME3 into the United States. And so anyone who wanted to go to Dubai connected through either Dulles or Atlanta and went on one of the United or Delta flights.
Yep.
And now, but that was just a couple hundred people a day who are going to Dubai. The same number of people today are going to Dubai and now have like 20 more daily flights to choose from various places around the country, and can also plus all the people connecting onward. So Emirates or, Qatar Airways with the short connection at the other end, or Etihad with the bus ride at the other end, can basically pick up all of those, 500 or 600 people to whom Dubai was the end game anyways. And then also sort of I shouldn't use the word subsidize, but share the costs of carrying those passengers amongst the other however many thousands of seats that they're flying through with passengers who are going onward to other destinations.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't take a lot to look at what's going on in the oil industry. I mean, that was the bulk of the premium business going to the Middle East. And both Delta and United, it's all O&D traffic. It's not onward traffic like the Gulf carriers, like you just said. Yeah. So I think the reality is the business has dried up for Delta because a lot fewer people are doing it, but they're just using this as an excuse. And they probably can use the plane somewhere else because they don't have a lot of 777s.
Yeah.
And that
but did you hear Richard Anderson said it's only $10 million to buy a new one or a used one off of...
I was just saying the market hasn't opened up yet. They're still waiting for that market to open up.
Yeah. Also, really not
$10 million.
Did you see the follow-up report that I think Morgan Stanley or one of the financial guys posted?
What'd they say?
No.
Basically, something to the effect of, maybe sort of you could buy a crappy used frame that had been beaten up at that price and it needed $20 to $30 million worth of repairs. But one coming off of Singapore is going to cost way more than that. Basically, they say it's more like 35 to 45, I think, million, rather than the 10 million that Anderson was tossing around.
I think the only thing you're going to get for 10 million is a 77A.
Like a bruised and battered one.
Yeah. From the place we visited?
Oh, possibly. Well, I think you could get a decent 77A, but that wouldn't have the legs they need.
Right. No, I mean, there's
the only place they could fly reliably from is JFK. They wouldn't be able to do Atlanta.
To Europe.
Yeah. Nothing to APAC.
Yeah, the 777A, I mean, the only other reason to pick up a set of 777As would be to do mainland Hawaii.
Yeah,
but there's not need for that much. Like, the whole industry is moving towards narrow bodies. And even that wouldn't make it from Atlanta. It'd have to be West Coast for them.
Yeah, because they only have one wide body today to Hawaii.
Well, so, and talking about Hawaii, and we can kind of going off topic here, but so there was one topic, the Hawaiian Airlines seat announcement also kind of came with a hint that mainland U.S. service to Hawaii is going to move to 321s, right? Airbus 321s.
Yep.
That's the hint, right?
No, he pretty much said it outright.
Yeah. Which will leave...
Not wholesale, but he's, in the earnings call, the comment from, was this Dunkerque, is his name?
I think so, yeah.
The CEO basically said, as they take a delivery of the 321neos, they can be more sort of surgical in their mainland growth. So some routes may just see a replacement because the demand is a little lower, and then they'll have, the aircraft that can meet that demand. But some may see either additional smaller cities being served or kind of augmented service with a second flight either to Honolulu or to the neighbor islands. So you may have a 330 or a 767, but they're mostly getting rid of the 76s, to, Honolulu from San Jose or whatever. And then separate from that, San Jose might get a nonstop to Maui on the 321.
But what's the range on a 321 Neo?
Long enough to make those flights.
Just to the West Coast, though, right?
Well, if they do the LR version, the high max gross weight one, I think the official published weight gets them to Chicago, but probably not with headwinds.
So you could see like Denver and definitely like Seattle and places like that.
The LR can do 4,500 miles?
3,900 nautical miles, the published spec. So I actually have a map that I'm looking at right now of that from a blog post I wrote back in the time. And it's without the LR comes up short of the Great Lakes, but with the LR can basically hit Detroit or Chicago. Now, again, with winds and whatnot, it's hard to know where that really gets to and such. But most of what Hawaiian is looking at with the 321, they can do reasonably okay.
What kind of weight restrictions would they have at that distance? What kind of configuration would it be?
If they tried to go all the way to Chicago, I imagine it would be significantly weight restricted.
So
but
even
into Middle America, I don't know how far they'd want to go. Like, do they try to launch service competing against American at Dallas or something like that? That I think, if it's the LR, which they haven't committed to, I actually think they could do just
Dallas.
fine.
Dallas might be a problem just because the way they come in from Hawaii, they go all the way to LA and then come south again. They go to, and yeah. I think it'll be just as bad as Chicago. I mean, so Denver, Salt Lake would probably be as far, and Phoenix, Albuquerque, if there's a market there, would probably be where it stops.
I see them taking some of the markets like maybe even Portland, maybe Seattle, and taking the 330s off there and putting them somewhere else.
Well, right. That's what I think, he sort of intimated is they can do that, but they'll also, instead of it just being service to Honolulu, it'll be Maui and Kona or something like that. Yeah. Or Kona seasonal plus Maui year round. Or 3 days a week, to Maui to Portland and 3 days a week to Seattle kind of thing. I don't know, something like that, alternating.
But I guess one of the questions is, what are the chances they just reduce their wide body count? I mean, it's cheaper to operate the narrow bodies, and as we've seen with the airlines, they've been doing a lot of trimming of capacity to maximize profits.
But didn't they say that their Asian demand is up? I thought that was part of the call.
The Asian demand is challenging just because of fuel costs, or not fuel costs, sorry, currency exchange.
Oh.
They're actually feeling, the statement was that they feel pressures on the revenue side because of fuel, no more fuel surcharges because those are apparently government mandated in Korea and Japan or China maybe. So you can't just decide I want to add a fuel surcharge. Like there actually has to be evidence of higher fuel costs.
Imagine that.
And which I don't understand why that doesn't mean they can't just raise fares, but whatever. Because the whole industry is facing the same rule there. But there is still demand there, but as a company, Hawaiian has had to do some interesting things where they launch a route into either China or somewhere else in Asia. We had a couple. I think they canceled one of the Japan routes or one of the mainland China routes recently and redeployed back to the U.S. And so demand is, it's tough when you're operating in a massive leisure market. Demand gets fickle.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that's because that's all they have is bringing people to Hawaii for tourism and bringing them back.
So then,
the plus side, that new seat does look pretty nice.
It does. The business seat does look nice.
No IFE though.
So Aer Lingus is the next little random carrier that's doing some interesting things. They're going to start flying to Bradley International, which Bradley is which airport, Seth? Hartford, Connecticut. Awesome.
It's actually Windsor Locks, I believe.
Oh. It is Windsor Locks. It's north of Hartford.
Oh.
South of Hartford.
No, north.
North?
North
of Hartford. All right. Yeah, north of Hartford, south of
Springfield.
Right.
Because it's Hartford Springfield Airport is covers both metropolitan areas.
Wow. So they're going to start service to Dublin, I believe, with the 757.
Yeah.
I guess someone had to pick up the vacancy that Northwest left with the Amsterdam route.
So they used to fly that in Amsterdam?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. With the 7.5.
Interesting.
It's early 7.5 transatlantic routes way back in the day.
So this
Pioneers.
Aer Lingus has also announced LA and a third city.
Newark.
Newark, right.
Interesting. Newark, right? Over JFK. I mean,
they already fly to JFK.
Well, I know, but I just thought, Why would you?
It's a different market. It's a different market.
Yeah. Well, if you read Flyer Talk, it's JFK is like living somewhere completely different. And
well, it actually is. I mean, the reality
unless
is
you're in Manhattan, in which case they're all basically the same.
Right, but there are people outside of Manhattan.
What?
No.
I know it's hard to believe.
No.
I can't see. I looked out the window here. I don't see any of them.
So that's. I mean, it's interesting that they're going to be launching these routes, and I didn't realize that they had so many 757s just sitting around.
They've leased some from time to time when they needed extra capacity.
Oh, okay.
And that's a short enough route that I think any of the engine config 757s out there could probably make it. Obviously not like the old United ones that were domestic only, but the ETOPS rated ones. Some have longer range than others.
Ted could fly it?
It was a 320.
What about Newark? What's it going to be launched with? Is that a 752 as well?
I think so.
Yeah.
But the other thing to sort of remember is, or to not remember, but to know, the Hartford Airport Authority and the local businesses have basically guaranteed the route. They're buying the route.
How are they doing that? Like just paying Aer Lingus to fly it?
It's loss guarantees. They're guarantee against losses.
So it'll be like the Lufthansa Portland Frankfurt and the Delta Portland Narita and Portland Amsterdam flights.
Yeah, where they say show up, we'll do all the we'll give you some marketing, we'll waive landing fees, things like that, and then on top of that, up to I think it's $4.5 million for the first year with an option to on the side of the authority to renew a 2-year deal.
So if
$330 for Newark, by the way.
If IAG is buying Aer Lingus, do you think it'll switch from Dublin to Heathrow at some point or Gatwick?
No.
Okay.
I don't think it'll switch to Heathrow because
Gatwick,
that's a slot issue.
Right.
Gatwick, maybe. Right. They've just relaunched JFK Gatwick to try to beat down Norwegian. British Airways just re-announced that, right?
Right, and I don't even understand why they're even trying to do that.
To beat down Norwegian.
Yeah. No, I understand that, but why even go into that game? They have a premium product right now going into Heathrow.
Why did American go to Stansted when EOS started up, or MaxJet, or whichever one was up there, right? Why did all of those do that, right? They feel some pressure and have to compete. Now, they don't feel that same pressure to compete against La Compagnie or whatever, although maybe that's why they'll show up in Newark.
La Compagnie.
La Compagnie, Terminal B. But at the same time, they're not going after Norwegian at LA. Right? Think of how much lift is between New York and London, right? Why throw one flight in when something like LA, where there's only a portion of the flights, you could have better defeat.
I'd say because you can do it with a smaller plane, but they're using a 777, so that's not the issue. And it is lower utilization, certainly. It's basically one plane bouncing back and forth. But
so is it going to be pre-clearance at Dublin then for the Hartford flight or the Bradley flight? Yeah. So that's an interesting. I was wondering how they were going to handle.
They have customs at Hartford.
They do?
They just don't really use it.
I gotcha. Interesting.
Are there flights from Canada there, maybe?
Yeah, there might be, but those would be pre-cleared. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
And then Lufthansa is trimming service to Japan. So, Seth, you had the details on this one, and I think it's odd, but then when you mentioned what the reasoning, it kind of made sense.
Yeah, so, they're cutting service to Narita, but the cut is going to be next summer season, so I guess starting in March of 2016, and it's down from daily to 3x weekly, and it's down to a A340-300. I think it's even a high-density config of that.
So it's the 2 class. Sure. It's no 3
class. Yeah, I think. I'm not certain on that. But which is down from a 747, which is
down
2
from
class
380.
now anyways. And it's down from that from a 380. But the interesting thing about that is that's the Narita service. There's still Haneda service.
So, are we...
Tokyo, there's a massive cut at Tokyo, but not complete wholesale, like walking away.
But are we seeing the slow demise of Narita? We've seen United pull out, we've seen Delta pull out drastically, we've seen, all these other carriers are trimming their capacity. Some have even given up on Narita altogether.
As a connecting hub, I think it is starting to crack, right? When you say United has pulled out and Delta's pulled out, that's what you mean, not that they're walking away from it in general, right?
Yeah.
But, as a connecting hub, yes, it is starting to show its weakness. And Buzz was saying something, I think we lost him. Oops. But it's definitely showing its weakness as a connecting hub. But I also think, for O&D traffic, where things get interesting, is Haneda slots are still really hard to come by. And so some airlines get them, and that's fine. For the U.S. carriers especially, not only are the slots hard to come by, but the times on them suck ass.
Yeah.
So, I mean, American, that's actually another fun Delta pissing in someone's Cheerios kind of story. Delta lost its slot at Haneda. Americans got it and then couldn't start operating it because they didn't have slots scheduled, and Haneda didn't give them the old Delta time slot. They're making them go through the proper application process, which is fine. But now Delta's saying, well, they didn't start service soon enough, so we should get it back.
Good old Delta.
Awesome.
I think Haneda is interesting because, like, for the timing of the Lufthansa flight, it actually gets in. It's kind of like perfectly timed coming from Europe. It gets in early in the morning. You know, it's kind of like a normal flight. It's not a 10 o'clock arrival like some of the U.S. flights are, which makes it an actual viable connection point for European flights.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering.
The Narita flight is similarly timed. The Narita flight is 1:30 to 1:40 departure out of Frankfurt that arrives at 8 or 9 a.m. depending on the season.
Yeah, but I think that ANA's created this predicament themselves and JAL for that matter. Almost all the domestic service is out of Haneda. So if you want to connect somewhere in Japan, mainland Japan, mainland Japan, I guess we could call it, or the island of Japan, you connect through Haneda.
Right.
If you go through Narita, there's only a few cities that you can get to. I think Osaka, maybe Sapporo, places like that. I don't think you can get to a lot of the smaller places that Haneda has connections to. So I think ANA and JAL are to blame for some of that. And maybe the Japanese government, like the way that they've set up the airport system, I don't know. But it's not convenient.
I would also say things like, think about not just Japan, but think about like Gimpo, right? You can go to Gimpo from Haneda, but you can't from Narita.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
right?
Some of the intra-Asia stuff is there too.
Yeah. And all these intercity airports are easier to get to from Haneda, but it's not something that I don't think the airlines, I don't think it's a single country or single airline that's done that. But it's just, if one had to go into, just like you would rather go into Haneda for Tokyo, Gimpo's easier for Seoul.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah,
So
for what it's worth, I'm just looking at the schedule now. I said it's for the summer season next year, but I actually think that cut came already.
Early?
I think it's already done.
Huh.
I'm looking at the schedule right now, and I see 3X Weekly on a 343.
Wow.
Like this week. I think it's with the winter schedule. My bad.
Hey, at least you caught it.
You did.
Which I think is a great segue to the destination this week. And Rolo, you have the honors of talking about it.
Should I spin the Rolo dartboard?
We're working on sound effects for a dartboard. If any of our listeners have a suggestion of a good sound effect for a dartboard.
Or a wheel. I guess it could be a wheel, too.
Yeah. Spin the globe.
like The Price is Right or Wheel of Fortune thing, like thing. Okay.
No, stop.
So the destination of the week is, interestingly enough, Tokyo. And you guys asked me if I was in Tokyo earlier, but I'm not. But by the time this airs, I would have already have been in Tokyo. So yes, I am in Tokyo.
So where are you going in Tokyo? Why are you going to Tokyo, I guess?
Well, I've been to Tokyo a couple times. It's been a while since I've been there. The last time I was scheduled to go was on the inaugural Denver-Narita flight from United.
Yep.
Which didn't happen originally.
It was just like 4 months late.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It happened, but I was on the first time around, and then so I ended up canceling that, and I did not go. And it turns out that my friend who lives in Dubai, who's from Argentina, is going to be in Tokyo next weekend, or this weekend, as I'm already in Tokyo, apparently. And his parents are there, so we've been trying to meet up, and I haven't been. I was going to go to Dubai and meet them, but I did not get a chance to go. And I think Tokyo might be a good opportunity for me to go meet them, and just to kind of see more of Tokyo. I feel like I've seen it, but I've only seen the same few things. There are certain things I haven't seen, and I don't know. Japan's always been a kind of a cool country for me to just think about visiting, and the whole Lost in Translation. I mean, it's just to me, it's like a whole. I've been to so many places, and I just look at Japan, and it's like a whole new world. And it's funny that we were talking about that, but I was looking at flights to Haneda, and I can't get a flight to Haneda because I want to experience the Haneda arrival, but I'm not. It looks like I'll be in Tokyo Narita expressing it.
You can't get the United flight from San Francisco?
It's not showing up. I was trying to finding a way to miles upgrade something, and it's not coming up for me.
Oh.
Now, will you be staying at the Park Hyatt?
There's bonus miles available on it right now, too.
There's bonus miles?
Yeah, depending on your cost of service.
Wow. Well, maybe I'll look at here's the problem. I'm kind of small side rant. I'm not happy with the United website right now, so they don't make it easy. They're not making it any easier. And to answer Foz, I don't know if I'll be staying at the Park Hyatt. I have a bunch of Hyatt points that are going to expire, so if I could get it, maybe I'll stay there. I think the last time
Hotel Hustle for its ability to monitor prices in award space and send you an alert should an award room open up.
Wait a second! Don't self-promote. What is this?
That was, I thought, reasonably subtle and relevant.
I will be looking
and not
at
subtle
it.
at all, but relevant.
From now on, I will only look at Hotel Hustle. Your home of the hustling hotel alerts.
The only hotel hustling I use.
We should work on the slogans, guys, but I appreciate the effort.
I don't hustle much, but when I do, I hotel hustle.
I got hustled by the front desk, but not when I use Hotel Hustle.
Oh, this keeps getting better.
Wait, Rolla struck a nerve. I would like to read our feedback if anybody actually likes the new United website.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm going to guess our comments are going to be very negative.
Why would you think that?
So how long are you going to be spending in Tokyo, or how long are you spending in Tokyo, Rollo?
I think I will be there just 2 days. Quick, because they're taking the train to Kyoto on Monday, so I would only just see them on Saturday and Sunday.
And you'd come back?
Yeah, and then I would just come home.
Okay. So what to do for 36 to 48 hours in Tokyo? That's sort of the question at play here?
Yeah, I'm kind of... Well, the thing is, they've never been there, so I'm sure they are going to have questions on where to go and what to do. So I've been to the typical Tokyo things, I guess, like the Shibuya crossing and the Harajuku district. I've never been to the fish market, but I think it's pretty much impossible to go.
Fish market's easy to go to. I think you don't wake up at 4 a.m. for the tuna auction.
Okay.
When I've done it recently, the last time I actually was there in April with my in-laws, we went and got there around 7:30 or so, had breakfast at one of the fish shops, and we did not wait in the lines for the fancy special ones because the other ones are all also really good in my experience. I think by the time we finished, the place even we were in had a bit of a line. But we went, sat down, had a nice sushi breakfast, and then we were done around 8:45, and for whatever reason that day, and I don't know if it's a consistent thing or not, but the regular marketplace didn't open until 9 for tourists. So we did breakfast, walked around the sort of outer portion of the market, and then at 9 o'clock they let us in, and we could walk in and you walk amongst the stalls and whatever. So you missed the tuna auction, but the market itself is still very, very cool. Like, the guys with swords carving fish is kind of neat.
Well, see, that's the thing.
Swords, the knives are like 4 feet long.
I did not know that. I thought it was you go to the auction and that's it. I thought that was the only attraction.
No, if you ever like walking around a market at all, this is absolutely a fish market worth seeing.
Which one? So that's a good question, Seth. Which one, since you've been to the Seoul market and now you've been to the Tokyo market, which one do you think was cooler? I mean, they're pretty different from each other, but
they're very different from each other. I think that the Tsukiji market, the one in Tokyo, is much more crowded and hectic and sort of hustle and bustle experience. Seoul is a bigger, more open space.
Yep.
And so in that sense, a little easier to visit. Also, though, Seoul has, the restaurants in-house that do the cooking and whatever. You can buy whole fish fresh or whatever, whatever sort of bits you want, and then they bring it upstairs to the restaurant that you and I went to, Stephen. That's a very different experience than Tokyo, which is it's only wholesale. There's no retail outlets inside. At least not that well. I don't think there are. If there are, I guess people are buying stuff at some of the places that's technically retail, but it's not in the same way where you buy something and they'll eat it right then necessarily. So it's a very different style of market in that sense. But I really like Tsukiji. I have done the 4 a.m. for the tuna auction back in the day, but I don't know that it's necessarily worth it. It's neat. It was interesting, but especially if you can't guarantee yourself access anymore because you never know when they're going to run out of tickets and it's very limited.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure it's worth doing.
Rollo, do you like ramen and things like that? I mean, would food destinations be what you want to do? Yeah,
well, that was actually on my list, is, doing some ramen and doing the traditional meal, which I don't think I've ever done. What is it, kaiseki or something?
A kaiseki meal, yeah.
Yeah. You always hear of all these crazy experiences with dining and I know they're very expensive in Tokyo, but I haven't been there in a while, so I don't know. Even I forgot to look at, which is bad producing, to look at the current exchange rate right now to the dollar. So I don't even know the exact, what.
I think it's still very good.
Oh, okay. So these kaiseki meals might be a favorable time to do it now.
Yeah, it's like 121 or something like that. It's pretty good.
And it could be good. It could be good to go take him to like a traditional tea ceremony or something. That would be fun.
Right.
Something to do together.
Yeah. The other thing I've heard of it is, and Seth, maybe you know about this. Apparently, the Hinode Pier is a thing to do now. Like, they take a cruise along the waterfront.
There's been I always have heard about people who cruise sort of the river in Tokyo. I've never done that, and so I don't know much about it. But
maybe it's an adventure I'll undertake.
Yeah, I can't help it. I mean, if you had a little more time, I would say getting out of town would be worth it. There's some neat temple stuff, like an hour south on the train, which we did when we went. But I'd say with the amount of time you have, probably not worth it. It's also not baseball season, so you don't get that. But if there's,
I'm a little upset with baseball altogether right now, because by the time this publishes, the Mets probably would have lost.
Wow.
It's just well, it's 3-1. I mean, they blew it yesterday. They could have tied the series, and my hopes are very low right now. And if they come back, I wish they come back. I will be so happy, and I will have to give out a prize for something.
Yeah, or bribe me to edit this segment. But in town, if you can see like a sumo tournament or something, you just have to check the schedules and see what's going on with that. But the other thing for sort of the traditional temple type experience, the Asakusa district is where we always end up just walking around, and there's some interesting things actually my father-in-law found when he was doing some research for our trip. There's like a sequence of 7 temples that's sort of a pilgrimage trail that you can walk between, and it's a half day of walking basically all around. But it's an interesting mix of sort of destinations, different types. Some of the big ones, the big famous ones in that region, but there's some smaller ones sort of just in the middle of nowhere, out of the way, that are just like cute little temples. So if you're into that and the sort of history and cultural side of that stuff, also a possibility.
Well, that's that's a good suggestion as well.
And then the other thing is the Imperial Palace grounds. Sort of, there's the gardens and whatnot that are near the main train station and sort of in the middle of town.
Yeah, I think the last time I went, I did go to the gardens.
Yeah,
but I was never there during the good season.
This won't affect you, but screwed us on our vacation.
I'm trying to think. You have to take some pictures, Rolo, and let us know kind of what you do. I'm interested to see how you fill your 48 hours there.
Well, the other thing is they may already have some stuff researched. My friend works for Emirates, so he may have people that have already been there, and they may have outlined some things to do. So I may just be passenger along for the ride, or have to come up with the things to do.
Yeah, we'll need some follow-up. I mean, I'm interested in Tokyo. Like, Japan fascinates me, so I'm always excited to hear about it.
You've never been, right?
I've never been, so I've got to go. I just haven't been, so. So we can move on to some news. Starwood is rumored to be in talks with
everybody,
Hyatt, or everyone at this point. Yeah, it was IHG there for a while, and now it's Hyatt. And
I heard a rumor that Hotel Hustle was going to buy them.
Wow.
The Hyatt brand doesn't make a lot of sense, I don't think, to many people as a fit for Starwood, because Starwood seems to want a smaller. They want the smaller market hotels, which IHG actually fit into kind of well.
By which you mean smaller cities and the sort of budget brands?
Yeah. I mean, I'm talking, not Comfort Inn, but along those lines. A
Hampton or a
Hampton
Holiday Inn Express.
Yeah, exactly.
Starwood is being acquired, so it's not really up to them. I mean, it is kind of, but at the end of the day, it's all about, we're talking about equity firms from China, which aren't going to be bringing any new hotels to the portfolio. This could just be a money's game at the end of the day.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is I think they're trying to sell it to someone who they think can grow the brand.
I think Hyatt can grow the brand greatly. I mean, they've been growing their own brand.
True.
Organically at a pretty quick rate compared to the others.
Yeah. Do you think Hyatt's a better fit than IHG then?
Yeah, I don't think IHG, honestly, I think IHG might have regulatory challenges.
Just because they're so big.
Yeah.
IHG is the biggest right now, isn't it? Of the major brands in terms of number of properties?
Yeah,
number
I think
of rooms?
so. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so.
So, I mean, right, it's a tough play for Starwood in terms of trying to find the right fit and where it fits into whatever brand or program would, consume it. But, short of like Club Accor, the Accor properties, they've got a ton of low-end properties, but none of them are in the States.
Yeah. I just don't. I guess Hyatt just kind of took me off guard because I don't see Hyatt as being very large. Internationally, a little bit larger, but it's mostly in one hotel in big cities. That's really their brand.
Right, but when you look at their brand, it's in line with what the brand Starwood has curated thus far.
Just with a kind of upper,
right,
slightly better hotel.
Right. I mean, you don't really consider a Westin at the same category as a Marriott.
Yeah, that's true. And I think for low-end properties, the Hyatt Place is actually one of the better discounted or affordable hotels out there. I don't mind staying at them at all.
No.
So it's interesting. But Rollo, you were saying that a lot of chains are in talks with Chinese equity firms.
Well, it just started the day that the Starwood news came out. They report all the hotel chains, the major chains, their stocks jumped, and the analysts on TV said that these firms are seeking permission to acquire these hotels, but they're not. It's not necessarily just Starwood. Like everything may be in play. Like for some reason, these Chinese firms were looking to invest in hotel chains.
Yeah.
So that it's not just limited. I mean, this could trigger a whole thing of they're investing into a lot of not just Starwood, but other hotels and kind of expand their investment portfolios. But I don't know.
Didn't Chinese investors buy? Was it the Waldorf Astoria or the Plaza? One of the big.
Well, it's funny because that was it's Hilton used to own it, and I don't know if it's spun off or whatever, but I think the last time Obama was here, he did not stay at the Waldorf for the first time ever because of something to do with this. I don't have all the details.
The Waldorf is owned by the Chinese at this point, so they thought it was no longer safe.
Or a conflict, right? It was like not to stay there. Yeah.
It was basically they don't have all the control that they used to. I mean, you go back and read, there's special tunnels and all sorts of special access into that hotel.
Yep.
And they just didn't know what the status of any of that was anymore.
Yeah. Also,
wait, they didn't know. Like they thought that suddenly the tunnels all got
bugged.
all changed.
They're
Like
all collapsed.
they didn't just send a couple Secret Service agents down to take a look.
I guess not.
There's politics. I mean, it's
it's a politics thing.
What in life isn't, but it's all politics.
I could have said something really funny, but I'll stop. Other stuff that Rollo actually brought this up. I had completely forgotten about it. Avios has undergone a bit of a devaluation recently. Boo. Yeah. It's now going to cost 7,500 miles for most of the short haul routes that they were good for. Is that right?
It's basically if it's operated by American or Alaska, the lowest price you can pay starting in February or March, February or something like that is 7,500 points instead of 4,500 points. So until this change goes into effect, there are somewhere around 500, just short of 500 one-way segments in the Alaska and American networks that are 4,500 points each.
Oh wow, that's a big hit.
Like 480 routes. It was way more than I thought it would be.
Yeah, that's a big hit.
And it is 480 routes, and that covers a lot of different places from all the different hubs. It's going to be a pain in the ass for me also for my OR calculator to figure out the right number.
Will it affect Hotel Hustle in any way?
No, Hotel Hustle should be okay, but its partner site, the Avios calculator, will see some effects.
Okay.
And
but yeah, it is a devaluation. It sort of sucks. It's not too surprising given the way Chase has been pushing the hell out of that VA credit card in the States to people who clearly are flying, I'm guessing, less on British Airways and more on partners.
Yeah, and you think that's really what it is they're flying on partners, and so we don't want to subsidize partner flying, really, which is kind of the meat and potatoes of what people are doing here in the States with American and Alaska.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, it's not a bad deal. Even at 7,500, yeah, it's a spike from the 4,500, but still for a lot of those flights, it's still not horrible.
I
agree, and that was so. Here's the question that came up. I was talking with a buddy about this, he was like, "Yeah, going to Boston, going to book it on Avios." And I said, "Oh, because I have a Boston trip coming up too. I was just going to book a $70 ticket because it didn't seem worth it to me to spend the points." And at 4,500, obviously, I didn't think it was worth it. At 7,500, it certainly isn't worth it for a $70 ticket.
Yeah,
but what about and he's like, "Yeah, that's great, except I'm buying it for travel this weekend and it's $170." So that changes the equation. And then obviously at $170, the 4,500 Avios is a slam dunk. Is 7,500 still a slam dunk there? You're getting over 2 cents per point. Is that still the right play?
It could be. I mean, it really could be. But there are times when you go look for a Boston ticket, it's $300, $400. Right. So I think it's really like those short hauls last minute. I've used the 4,500 mile Avios a ton of times, but it's really, I book it a day before when the ticket's $300, $400.
I've only actually managed to use it once or twice. And it was a similar situation. I needed to get to Montreal, tomorrow. I booked it on a Monday for a Thursday or Tuesday for a Thursday departure, Monday for a Wednesday departure, something like that. But it was last minute.
Well, does the devaluation hit some of the European stuff too? So going London to Paris?
Nope.
No? So it's 4,500?
It really only affects flights operated by American and Alaska.
Gotcha. So
it's North America only, right?
Well, those are the only routes. Yes, but it's because it's by who operates the planes.
Right.
Imagine if American had a 300-mile route somewhere in the South Pacific, that they'd also change the rules.
Well, I'm just thinking like some of the BA partners in Europe.
Right, no, those are not affected.
I mean, because that's really convenient, because sometimes it's really cheap to fly out of anywhere but Germany or London.
Yeah.
So it's still useful there. Seth, do you want to talk about your rant this week?
Yes, the honorary Rollo rant.
It's going to you.
So it's, my travel patterns have changed significantly. I don't really consider myself a business traveler much, but every now and then I have to.
But yet you travel for business all the time.
Again, I travel for business, go figure. My business is different. I'm not the go out on Monday, come home on Thursday consultant that, someone tells where to go every day. So a lot of my trips I sort of get to pick and choose where business takes me. But in this case, on assignment this coming week, I'll be in Seattle, Doha, and Dubai. And I got a ticket to go to Seattle, bought about 2 weeks out, and got the confirmation from the travel agency, and the email says, you're booked in a middle seat, no aisles or windows available. And I looked at it, and I called my contact, and I called the travel agent. I'm like, can you just book me on this other airline that's got a flight that's at a better time for me and has window seats available that would be more comfortable for me also? And the answer was no.
Ouch.
Denied.
And right. So this is one of those weird things. Okay, travel policies, I get them, but it's not because it was more expensive, because I checked that, and the flight time was actually better for me and would actually let me have dinner in town in Seattle as opposed to getting in at 8:00, or 7:30, which isn't very good for trying to from there then get into town and try to have dinner with some friends. So I had to cancel that. So it's a little unfortunate, but it was a mild rant relative to some of the ones we've had before. But the idea of showing up, and then I looked even I couldn't buy up. I try I'm in a Delta middle seat. I looked Comfort Plus. For $110, I could buy a Comfort Plus middle seat, which seemed like a bad idea.
Do you think as they upgrade, is there any first seats open?
I didn't even look.
Because I would want to go if there's a first class seat open and then a Comfort Plus seat opens at check-in because of the upgrade or whatever.
Yeah, I'm already inside the check-in window. So,
oh, okay. So
and I keep checking. I'll check a couple more times tomorrow morning. But it's it's one of those things and once this was scheduled, I scheduled a conference call for the morning, so I can't take the earlier flight, even if I want to try to SDC or whatever, pay the $70 or whatever they charge for a change fee.
Yeah.
Just none of it worked out well for me. So
yeah, it sucks.
It's Crimea River. I did at the same time I flew in a middle seat from Portland to O'Hare a couple weeks ago, leaving Apex, and was happy as a clam because I did it by choice to get on the earlier flight that I needed to be on to make it to have dinner with my wife.
Yeah.
And this is I kind of actually really didn't want that flight or that seat anyway. So it's just one of those weird. Remember the joy of being in a metal tube flying 500 miles an hour over the sky.
I find it interesting, the conversations that I overhear at work, just because a lot of people fly for work, and people. They swear by Southwest, and I don't really understand it, because the price is actually probably cheaper on some of the other carriers. I mean, our booking engine lets us see Southwest with competitors, and it's usually cheaper to fly out of Portland. It's usually cheaper to fly with a 4-week window. It's easier to fly Alaska, actually. Most of the places these guys are going, and they don't want to. And I don't know if it's because they're checking bags or what, but they are totally sold on Southwest. Oh yeah, take Southwest.
So if you've only ever driven an Oldsmobile and you've never driven a BMW, do you have any idea what you're missing out on?
No. I mean, one looks better. I don't. I see what you're saying, but
also, in coach, I would take Southwest over Alaska.
Depending on where, yeah, I kind of.
Also, are they nonstops versus connections? Does that make it easier?
Some of these people are taking connections on Southwest rather than the nonstop on Alaska, which is just stupid.
They're just stupid.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that probably.
Especially on the West Coast. I can get anywhere from LA up in 2 hours. It's not, or even San Diego. San Diego's a 2-hour and 20-minute flight or whatever. But I would never, I'm not going to fly, a lot of our stuff is in the city, so it's downtown. So I'm not going to fly to, Burbank when I can fly to something that's closer to downtown.
Southwest just has a very loyal following. I mean, I've seen it over the years living in California. People swear by Southwest, and that's fine. That's their prerogative. But
then at the same time, Foss, I'm thinking about what Seth is saying, being in a middle seat. If I was flying for business and every week and I ended up in 31B every week for 3 hours each way, yeah, I would start looking at Southwest.
But you don't, I mean, there's two ways to look at it, right? You can at least get a seat assigned, you know what you're walking into. With Southwest, you have no idea.
That's true. Unless you're in the high group, one of the early check-in groups. But I don't know. I see that they get being frustrating, you don't even want that flight, Seth, and then you're stuck in a middle seat.
Yeah, it was on top of it, the little note at the bottom, middle seat assigned, no windows/aisles available. It's son of a...
And it's like the middle finger emoticon next to it.
Steaming poo.
steaming poo. Yeah, exactly.
And it was like, when I first got them, I'm like, it's no big deal. I'll call them and they'll fix the flight. And then, it's like within 24 hours, it's no big deal, right? And then, no. Just no.
I find it funny that some of the corporate booking engines, they'll give them like your frequent flyer number or something for the airline, and you're like, oh yeah, and put me in the economy plus or whatever seat, the better seat, and then the thing puts you like, you select a seat in that area, and then it kicks you out because it's like, no, you're not qualified. It's like, well, I guess I'll go to the airline's website.
Well, sometimes what happens is they don't send the number at the same time as the seat reservation.
That's true. Yeah, it's true.
NDC is going to fix all that. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, right.
That'll be a rant for another day.
Amadeus 2.0.
Amadeus 2.0. Lufthansa's writing that one too.
Altia 6.0.
It's with the new Frankfurt terminal.
7 years.
Maybe Hotel Hustle can do fix.
Pull the plug, Stephen.
Okay. Let's go around the table and tell everyone where they can find you. Rolo.
Wait, you guys, he secretly has been texting me to keep advertising Hotel Hustle.
Not true, but I appreciate it.
All right, Rolo. Tell them where they can find you.
They can't. They're not going to find me. That's it.
Tokyo.
Tokyo.
Shouting Rolo.
Tokyo. I promised months ago, I promised to redo at least have just mundosurfer.com, and I still haven't. So they can't find me right now. At this time, we're shut down.
You're on Twitter, though, right?
I am on Twitter at mundosurfer, and I'm still on Tumblr at mundosurfer.tumblr.com, but I can't promise anything there.
Oh man, he's really taking what I said last week or last 2 weeks personal. I feel bad now about when I told him to go to mundosurfer.tumblr.com. That's where the question was asked.
Yes.
Foz?
You can find me at hotelhustle.com. Actually, no. On Twitter as FozM.
Awesome. And you actually can find me at hotelhustle.com, but more likely at wandr.me or at wandrme on Instagram and Twitter.
And you can follow me on Twitter at scgraves, or I blog occasionally at badice.com. You can follow Dots, Lines, and Destinations on Twitter at DotsLines, or on Facebook, or moredotsmorelines.com. Leave us a comment. Like Foz said, if you want to give us your feedback on the United website, we're happy to agree with you or disagree with you. So thanks for listening, and talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.